One. Hi, Carmen. Here we are again. It's wonderful to be here talking about our book, Returning to Real.
Returning to Real. It's so nice to get together with you and be creative and raw, risky, and real as we talk about life.
Life, the universe, and all of those things that light us up. And that's what we wanted to do today. We wanted to pop in for a short time and talk about some of the progress that we're making on the book. We've started with really developing and creating that foundational piece, the framework that we call raw, risky, and real, which is going to be throughout the entire book. But we're really spending some time really exploring what the notion of raw, risky, and real means to us.
And it's been an evolution in terms of it came to the three of us, you, Natalie, and myself, over the course of our journey together in our podcast. And it's 2 years ago, we did a podcast on our framework, Raw, Risky, and Real. And it's really evolving as we put pen to paper and write this book. And I think it originally came to us as a way we wanted to be and work together and be raw, be risky, and be real. And that was just sort of summarized and defined. And now we've been able to take those words and dive deeper. And words matter. Words are really important to us. And from our therapeutic lens, we created the raw, risky, real approach in moving or shifting from wounds to wellness. And I often look at the raw as sort of an image, like a raw wound or a raw spot. And because that's when people come to therapy, or as humans, we all experience upsets, traumas, crises, difficult bumps in the road. And those are our raw spots or our raw wounds. And we all really do know what that feels like. And so it's a word that has so many meanings and so many levels, even to the point where we took the RAW in our framework, and that acronym means so much to us too, which we will really, really explore in the book. But so the R for us means to recognize and relate to whatever is coming up for us in terms of our thoughts, our emotions, our body sensations, and lean into it like we talk about, because so often we are taught to run away from it, push through it, avoid, distract, numb.
Yeah. Well, and it's counterintuitive, right? To go towards the pain, but that's exactly what we're describing. What we're saying is, the raw part is really the birthplace of change. So healing, to heal means that we have to go through it, not around it, not over it, not under it, not numb, but actually through it. And that's where we need to begin by recognizing and being able to relate to some of those, the hurts and the pains that we experience.
And that can feel really scary for some people, for most people, right? Really scary. And we're not trying to make this, minimize this in any way, make it feel easy, because it isn't a magic wand. It does take practice, and there's skills to learn. And this is why it lights us up to be able to dive into it and write about it, and to give people the tools that they're going to need to heal those wounds, to shift from wounds to wellness. And so, like you said, the raw is the birthplace of change. And it's like, it's recognizing, how am I showing up? what's going on for me. And once we recognize that, the A in the raw for us is allowing ourselves. So there's this mindfulness component to it, isn't there, Suzanne, where we're going to allow ourselves to feel it and sit in the discomfort in a safe place, but just be. It's kind of like, rather than doing, but just being with it. And even if that can just be for seconds or moments, we will build that up, but allow. And the A is also ascertaining, right? Assessing, ascertaining, because often those emotions and sensations and beliefs were created a long time ago. And we like to look at people as having different parts, right? And so in our book, we're going to assess and ascertain which parts are showing up for us because of our wounds, because these parts show up to protect us from our raw spots. And so that part's going to be really exciting. We have so much more to create there, but the surface level stuff is that's what we're going to do in terms of diving deeper into our raw spots. And the W is welcoming all of our parts and having the willingness to change or to accept them and help, learn to work together with all our parts so that we can return to real. But there's a whole other part in our framework which moves us into action.
And the risky part. Yes. And we're continuing to flush that out. We're continuing to really be able to articulate what we've noticed. And I love the way that you described it at the beginning of the conversation, Carm, because you started by saying this came to us, and we started developing, the three of us, a couple of years ago, because we were noticing some of the same patterns, right? We need to sit with our pains. We need to sit with our suffering. And it doesn't mean that that's where we stay. Absolutely not. But it means that before we can get to where we're going, we need to know where we are. And that's what the raw piece of it is. That's the raw that you just beautifully described, the risky part. And we call it risky because there is, there's all sorts of risk in wanting to change. So we're going to explore, the R in risky to us means reflect. Let's use the tools that we have to be able to reflect on what we're doing. Let's set some beautiful intentions for the stories and the next chapters of our life that we want to create, because that's we come from the belief and the premise that where we are today doesn't necessarily need to be where we'll be tomorrow. So we can begin to build a different story for ourselves, and that's the S. We can bring kindness and compassion to ourselves. We don't have to we can look at our demons, at our difficult parts with kindness, and through that we can arrive at a place of balance, and that's where we'll describe the yin and the yang, and the yearning
for balance.
So lots more work to do, but we're having an amazing time. We've tapped into a creative space in ourselves that brings us, I think we can probably say, brings us a lot of joy. It's pushing us way out to the jagged edges of our comfort zone at times, and we're
Yeah,
exploring and
absolutely.
re-exploring, but we're having fun doing it. And all of this,
And that's the risky part.
that's the risky part. So we're
Mhm.
practicing what we're preaching, right? We're in the risky,
Yeah.
we're in the risky zone, and doing things that sometimes actually feel uncomfortable to us. But here we are on YouTube, talking about
Yeah,
and all of
that's
this
right.
with the intention of of getting to that real part of ourselves. And you talked a little bit about some of the exercises that, and some of the other work and pieces that are going to be part of the book. And we'll include discovery quizzes, but we'll also include some very practical realignment practices that
Mhm.
support our mind, the work of our mind, that support our body, and that support our soul. So lots of experiential pieces to the book, with and
Yeah,
lots
that
of other
risky part
things.
is practices. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're speaking to the practices that we will, not prescribe, but suggest in terms of returning to real. And you mentioned pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. That is taking action, and the willingness to be open to that is so important. It is really, really the key in the birthplace to changing and writing the next chapter of your book, of
absolutely.
your life.
Yeah.
So it is
So
so exciting.
it is very, very exciting. So I think on that note, we'll leave our viewers with a little peek into what we're working
A little
on.
peek.
Yeah, and a little bit of excitement for what's coming. So we'll pop in every once in a while, and we'll let folks know what we're working on, and would absolutely love to get some feedback, or if there's anything in particular that you'd like to see in the book, reach out to us, and we'd love to hear back.
Absolutely. Yeah, great. I'm so happy you mentioned that. Yes, thanks so much.
We'll see you
Bye for
all
now.
in a bit. Take care.